Hey guys, welcome to Broad Street to Britain. Guys on YouTube watching that video of Rhys's bad spot. God, set me off again. Oh man. Okay, so first of all, hey guys, well, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening on the podcast. It's me, Dave Sure as ever, and Alex Carr. Alex, how are you, buddy?
Been better, Dave. Been better.
It's this is the first time I've managed to get the chance to talk about it since I've been stewing on it for the last 24 hours. Rhys Hoskins torn ACL, left knee. It's never good when it's a knee injury. I was at work on the middle of a really important phone call, and my phone flashed up from Alex Coffey, Todd, like Hoskins has gone down with a knee injury. As soon as you see knee, you're thinking it's never good. This is not good. It's like everything froze in time. I'm like, updates. I'm on the phone trying to have a serious conversation. Look at my phone going, come on. What's going on? This is not going to be good. I can feel it. You feel sick in your stomach. Your heart starts racing. You're like, it's just a sprain. It's a sprain. He'll be fine. Knowing deep down, this is probably not going to be good. And then I just got the phone call. Twitter's up straight away. What's going on? Put the game on. I'm seeing him carted away in the car. Schwarber helping him on. Oh man, like. I don't think, I'm not even being dramatic, I don't think I've ever been this gutted about an injury to any sportsman that in any sport I've been following. I'm not even joking. Rhys is my guy. He's everyone's guy. He's Philly's guy. You know, he's the number one Phillies boy. He's the heartbeat to this team.
I wish that were the case. I do.
Okay,
it should be the case.
Yeah, he has his other set of fans, non-fans. I didn't care about them. You know, for me, Rhys was the first guy I properly followed since he got drafted. You know, early in my Phillies fandom, I'm like, right, I followed the draft. That's my man, Rhys Hoskins. Followed him through the minors, and then when he finally got called up, I stayed awake till every hour under the sun, waiting for that first home run he'd hit for the Phillies. I lost so much sleep waiting for that first home run. It was worth it when he came, because then he went on this incredible tear afterwards. Yeah, we know he's hot, he's cold, he's hot, he's cold. When he's cold, it's frustrating. When he's hot, he's one of the best hitters in baseball, let alone for the Phillies. Absolutely gutting to have Rhys out this year. I've gone through anger, I've gone through sadness, and now I'm at a stage where I'm fired up. I'm fired up. Let's keep to the plan. Let's do this for Rhys. And if the guys have got me fired up after seeing that as well, you know, it's a mentality of let's do this for Rhys. You know, let's not be down about this. This clubhouse has an incredible togetherness, an incredible chemistry, unrivaled to what I've ever seen from a Phillies team. They're going to wrap around him. He's still going to be a presence in the dugout and in the locker room. No doubt about it. But you can't replace Rhys Hoskins. Defensively, maybe you can get someone on par a bit better, but that bat, 30 home runs last season, some clutch moments as well, helped carry the team to the World Series. It's such a big loss. Alex, what's your feelings on it, buddy?
I mean, yeah, you covered the whole thing. I mean, it's what is particularly disappointing, I think, is first of all, I think what is most frustrating is that, you know, obviously Rhys is a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Divisive, perhaps, entity in Philly sports. But now everyone now that he's down is finally saying, oh, you're going to appreciate Rhys. You're going to appreciate Rhys. Well, listen, they say you don't know what you got till it's gone. Now it's gone. Now you're going to see what you had. Yep. Like that's the frustrating thing. Rhys Hoskins is among some of the most productive offensive players in all of baseball, and now you lose him, and that's tough. That is going to be a very difficult bat to replace. And look, you know, Matt Winkelman, again, who we bring up every show,
absolutely,
put out a tweet yesterday. Kyle Schwarber and Alex Coffey wrote a piece about it too. Kyle Schwarber went down, you know, in April of 2016 with an ACL injury, came back to start at DH in the World Series, right? There is every possibility in the world that, Rhys progresses at a rate that is, solid, and maybe he comes back towards the end of the year. The fact of the matter is, this is a contract year for Rhys Hoskins. And the fact that he is missing out on nearly all 162 regular season games is life-altering for him. There is no way around that. Like, there's no way to under or overphrase this. Rhys Hoskins' career is altered by this injury. He is about to reach free agency in a class that behooves him to the greatest degree, in that he is the second best bat available on the market, period. End of story. Anybody looking for a first baseman, a DH, just an offensive contributor, they will be looking and targeting Rhys Hoskins. And now, in the 162 games leading up to his huge free agency chance, possibly a 9-figure deal on the table, he is out for the entire year. This is a massive magnitude of impact on his life. Yeah. So first things first, if you're joking about it, if you're making little World Baseball Classic jokes about it, just grow up, grow up. This is a human being. This is a major impact on this human being's life. Yes, he's earned millions of dollars in his career, and he deserves to earn millions more. So grow up. Let's stop with that whole thing. Second, this is an impossible entity to replace for the Phillies, right? There is nobody out there that is currently available that is going to give you the production that Rhys Hoskins would have.
Agreed.
That person will become available maybe closer to the trade deadline, but at this current point in time, there is nobody out there, not Derek Hall, not any of the names being thrown around right now in the Twitter sphere or whatever. Nobody is going to replace the production that Rhys Hoskins was going to give you. Yes, they can piecemeal and cobble together a solution, but the end all be all is, Rhys Hoskins is an irreplaceable entity on and off the field. Yeah. So that's how I feel about it. I feel about as miserable as everybody else does. And if you don't feel miserable, and if you think Rhys was replaceable, if you think that, whatever, I'm very, very excited for you to be proved wrong by how much this lineup is going to miss his presence. And to that end, I will also say this Phillies team played their best baseball when Bryce Harper was, injured. Yeah.
Yep.
This is a team that rallies around these kind of defeating moments and shows up. Yeah. So yes, there is every possibility that this becomes a rallying cry for the team, but it shouldn't be that way. And it shouldn't have to be that way. And it's really unfortunate that this is the way that things have turned. And, you can't help but just feel really, really, really bad for the guy.
That's the thing. I'm gutted for him more than anything.
Him and Jamie. I mean, it was a big year for both of them in Philadelphia. And I really, really, really hope that, I hope that Rhys recovers well. I hope that, Jamie is still able to enjoy the season. I hope that, I just hope that this doesn't impact Rhys's future earnings all that much. I do think what this does do for the Phillies, perhaps it opens up an avenue where, Rhys and the Phillies can negotiate, a 1-year deal.
This is this is exactly what I was going to get to. Let's sort of look ahead. Let's sort of look ahead here. I think now, and I agree. I think the Phils, as known as an organization, I don't think they're going to let Rhys go out like this. I just do not feel like we say, he's the heartbeat of this team. And I feel the Phils sort of owe him a little bit, that the moments we had in postseason with him, the hot spells he's giving us. Yeah, he's had some cold, but we know what Rhys is like. He's hot and cold, but you take the cold with the hot, because like I said, when he's hot, he is unbelievable. He's one of my favorite athletes, let alone players in the Phils team, and I just think the Phils will not let it end like this. And I do think they're going to give him a year deal. I just feel it would be brutal. It would be brutal if the Phils let him walk into free agency after missing a whole year out. I think they're going to give him a year contract, let him prove himself. And if he does bounce back well, then let's see if we can keep hold of him for the rest of his career. That would be awesome, and give him the money that he deserves. But I do agree with you. I think it would be brutal if the Phils let him go without batting again since the World Series. I don't see the Phils doing that. Do you, or could you see the Phils just cutting ties in the year?
There's a lot that goes into it. I think as ever, I think they were going to offer Rhys Hoskins a qualifying offer at the end of the season anyway. I think that they might try to negotiate something. In the end, I think the ball is going to be in Rhys's court, and namely Scott Boris's court. Because whatever they deem to be the way that Rhys can make the most money is how they are going to go about things. Yeah, and I don't think the Phillies are going to be open to giving him a multi-year deal. I don't see that happening. I haven't seen that happening. Even before this, I did not think that was going to happen, just because of his fit with the club. And I also think that, a 1 year prove it deal, as it were, is not exactly going to be enticing to him. He's 30. There's a big difference between entering the market at 30 years old and entering the market at 31 years old.
Do you think that's made down to Boras? I kind of have a feeling Boras wasn't his agent. Rhys may go ahead with that, but the fact that we're talking about Boras, it just kind of makes it like, yeah, he's going to want to get every single penny for Rhys and himself.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think that it's going to be up to Rhys. I don't think if he had another agent, it would be up to Rhys. I think that most of it is going to come from Scott Boras. And look, I do think that if we look back kind of at the past of these kinds of things, right? I can't really think of any particular player that, was facing down a huge contract year and then underwent a some season-ending injury, where they didn't at least get to come back for a little bit and show flashes of greatness and whatever. I can't really think of any position player that's happened to of late. I'm probably forgetting somebody, and it's it's probably really obvious to those listening. But right now, I can't really think of anything. So I'm not sure what that does for Rhys's marketability. What I do know is that I'm sure he would rather cash in on being a 30-year-old hitting the market, signing something like, what Anthony Rizzo signed this year, or something where he gets a little extra cash on top, like a 3-year, $20 million per year deal, where he gets at least a good payout. And then if he hits the market again at, 32, 33, maybe then he gets an Anthony Rizzo-like deal, and you kind of piecemeal together the value that you would have lost. I really don't know. I don't know where he's going to go from here. I don't know where the Phillies are going to go from here. All I know is
I'd hate it.
All I know is they have to figure out what they're going to do. They can try and create a platoon. That is a short-term solution to a long-term problem. But the fact of the matter is the Phillies were going to need a first baseman at the end of this year anyway. So perhaps they go out and they explore the trade market. Matt Gelb just wrote a piece about what they could do. Matt Gelb thinks they're going to acquire, at the very least, a platoon mate for Derek Hall. That makes a ton of sense to me. I think that is probably what they end up doing as well.
Yeah.
If we were going to go into that anyway.
I read Matt Gelb's piece before we came on, and I agree, because for me personally, I hate the idea of putting Bohm at first. I hate the idea.
Apparently, so did the Phillies. I think that's...
Alec Bohm has worked effortlessly and tirelessly nailing down third base. He has put everything into being an average third baseman, a fine third baseman, do his job. And in fact, I can see his defense at third base actually being a little bit, but maybe above glove. We'll see what happens with him. He's growing in confidence. He's a confidence player.
With you.
Do not stick him at first, where he's said in interviews this year, have you been practicing first base? Not really. Oh, no, let's not stick him there. He's errors. If he starts making errors at first base, we know what happens when his confidence dips. Right. It could cycle. It's going to affect his at-bats. Alec Bohm is on the verge of a huge year. I have no doubt Alec Bohm's going to have a good year. I don't want him flip-flopping between first and third, his confidence getting affected. Him going into a game not knowing where he's going to get first or third base every game. He needs to be dialed in at third base. Let him get on with third base. Let him focus on his game because he's going to be a huge player for the Phils this year, especially now Rhys is out. His breakout year is so important. Derek Hall,
Right.
give him, just let him face lefties. You know, he has hit lefties in spring. He is getting better. I'd like to see him in the regular season and just see if that improvement carries into the regular season. Let's just see how it goes. If not, Souza. If not, Clemens. I don't know. I don't want Bohm moved or get this guy from wherever we're talking about, get him in and platoon with Derek Hall, who I think is going to mash. I think we see the plate appearances that he could hit 20 plus home runs this season. I'm quite confident of that. It doesn't get to Rhys's level, but it's some of the way there. And then if he can platoon with someone who's also got a bit of power, a bit of good defense at first base, okay, we're sort of managing the situation. I do think we can handle this in-house. It is going to mean that we are going to see a lot more of another player, Edmundo Sosa. I think it opens up playing time for Sosa. That gets me excited. I am looking for a healthy Sosa. The way he's been going in spring, the way he was at the back end of last year, that gets me excited. He's got some power added to his game. It is a plus defense. I'm looking forward to seeing what Souza can do. That excites me. But let's leave, please, Alec Bohm at third base. I don't want this experiment. Alex?
Well, the good point that Matt Gelb made was that if Alec Bohm were to be this platoon first baseman, not only would that confuse Bohm and really, hamper his growth over at third base, but also it leaves Edmundo Sosa kind of unavailable to, play that second base center field, platoon float that he's kind of slated to be in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're facing right-handers, right, and you move Alec Bohm over to first base and you put Sosa over at third, well, or if you're facing left-handers, I think I said right-handers. If you're facing left-handers and you put Sosa at third and Bohm at first, well, then what happens with Marsh and Stock? Are you just going to start them against every lefty? Or are you going to it becomes a very confusing, kind of mishmash of ways that you're utilizing your bench. And then later on down the line, if there's a pinch hitter that's needed and you have both of those guys active at the same time, well then, so there's a whole bunch of, things and chess pieces that get moved around here. But ultimately, what is done by Rhys Hoskins being, he's going to get placed on the 60-day injured list, right? That opens a roster spot. Gelb touched on, Scott Kingery is a wild card here, could get, the promotion. I don't see that happening still. I don't see Cody Clemens being the guy that they call on because they're already left-hand heavy. I do think they go outside the organization and find a right-handed hitter. And I think that Gelb brought up a couple great options. Look, you're never going to be able to supplant what Rhys Hoskins was going to give you. Using two players to, make up for one player's absence is not an easy thing to do. But
no.
If they go out and they say, okay, let's acquire Bobby Dalbec, let's acquire, Luke Voigt. Luke Voigt, as many have, touched on, has reverse splits, but who's to say what the Phillies are going to do with these guys? We've seen them work magic on a lot of hitters over the last couple of years. Who's to say who they're going to target? I do think Bobby Dalbec makes the most sense. He's already on a roster
from the Red
bubble.
Sox, yeah.
Yes, already, and was a Dombrowski draftee, was already part of a roster bubble with the Red Sox. He's out of minor league options, makes a lot of sense. Crushes lefties, struggles against righties, strikes out a lot, but what are you going to do? I think that kind of move makes a lot of sense. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, at least it holds you over to the deadline to where you can kind of look for a more long-term solution. And that is where I think things get a little tricky. If you're looking for a long-term solution, if you're looking for, maybe CJ Cron becomes available at the deadline, who's to say? Nobody ever knows what the Rockies are going to do. Okay. Nobody knows. They probably won't end up selling. Right.
Yeah.
But if CJ Cron becomes available, maybe you sign him. Maybe then you try to look to extend him. He's a free agent at the end of the year, depending on how he plays. Right. Maybe you look towards somebody like Christian Walker, one of the best first basemen in the game, who is also kind of just hit his stride late. Really great defender, really, really great power hitter. And, it kind of probably won't break the bank for you prospect wise because he is already 33 years old, right? Under team control for another year as well. So, maybe they look that way. But then if they look that way, there's no chance Rhys Hoskins gets brought back next year.
Well,
There's
this
just
is it.
that chance
Yeah.
drops to zero, right? And hey, maybe they still throw him the qualifying offer, but that's probably going to be with the intent that he's not going to accept it. So I really don't know. It's a lot of moving parts. It's a lot of things that you kind of it is probably one of the worst things that could have happened to this team is
It
losing Rhys
really
Hoskins.
is.
It
Honestly,
makes things very complicated.
It really is. And you just get that feeling of Harper, Suarez, like Hoskins, Painter, like why us? Why can't we have nice things? It's if there's one thing about this team is that we rallied round and everyone stepped up last year, especially when Bryce went down. Like you said, we had players stepping up, we had the daycare stepping up. They've got it in them. We know they've got it in them, and I truly believe they're going to do it for Rhys. What a fairy tale it would be. Like with what we've happened with Schwarber, he returned and going to a World Series. Just let's set up the NLCS for Rhys.
That would be sick. Let's get it back.
The only problem is if he comes back and we're in the NLCS, he can't really play DH because that's going to be Bryce's role for the rest of the year.
Yeah, but what's really great about it though is that remember rosters expand, so there's going to be space, and it's way better to have a guy like Rhys Hoskins on your bench, or whoever gets benched in that scenario. It's way better to have them on your bench than some roster bubble guy that you acquire at the deadline to be a bench replacement, whatever. It's way better to have that option. So, I mean, fingers crossed he heals up quickly and he is available for that. But I do think, again, there are options out there, right?
Yeah,
like there are ways to try and cobble together some sort of solution.
But I'll tell you what, we need. It's now not an ideal situation. It's now a need. We need Castellanos. This bounce back season is now imperative. We need Castellanos back.
I think it kind of comes down between Castellanos and Bohm, in my opinion. I think one of them has to, and I think honestly, it doesn't matter which one, but it would be really, really cool to see Alec Bohm step up. Obviously, both stepping up would be great, but you don't want to get greedy. I think it's one of those two that really has to step up, because this lineup is left-hand heavy to begin with.
It is,
right?
yeah.
With Derek Hall coming in, with Rhys Hoskins exiting, it's even more left-hand heavy now. So ideally, if Alec Bohm can cement himself as like a 3-hole hitter,
and I think he will. I think he will. I do have faith. I think he will.
I really do too. I think that he, and we talked about this a little bit in our season preview podcast, but the guy was a top 6 hitter in baseball last year by expected metrics. Contact hitter, I should say, not overall hitter, but top 6 contact hitter by expected metrics. Hits the balls to all fields, doesn't strike out a lot, really has shown some improved power this spring. I think all of the pieces are there. So there's every reason to expect that he really does find that stride. Conversely, Nick Castellanos has not had a great spring, but he has shown some flashes. He's laid off of those down and away sliders a lot more this spring. He hasn't exactly given into some of his old habits. And what's great about that is that ideally, Castellanos is one of those guys that he also sprays the baseball. He goes the other way a lot. And with the shift eliminated, that changes the way that these outfielders are going to line up, changes the way that these balls are going to fall. So, I really do think that, it's reasonable to expect both of them to take a step forward. It's also reasonable to expect, some of the guys at the bottom of the lineup to take a step forward. Brandon Marsh, Bryson Stott.
Stott. Yep.
And if one of those things doesn't work out, Edmundo Sosa, right? Like, it is there is every reason to believe that the Phillies will see more production from their young guys this year. And I think that, obviously it's a huge, huge loss, but it also creates room for people to step up and to really, fill in the gaps, exactly like they did when Bryce Harper went down last season. Lest we forget, Trey Turner is also on this team now. So
I'm mashing the ball.
It's still a better team. So,
Yeah,
The
I
only
agree.
thing that you can really say is you hope Rhys heals up quick, and you hope, maybe, hopefully, this past spring training bout was not the last time you see him in red pinstripes.
Absolutely. The target stays the same. Just get to the playoffs and then we run it back.
Yep.
Just get there. We're going to have Bryce coming back possibly in the May. We've got Painter to come in possibly at some point. We've got Suarez, a fully healthy Suarez, to come and hit that rotation at some point. Let's just keep our heads above water until Bryce gets back. Let's just keep ourselves in contention. Keep ourselves. The division, I don't care how we get there. Just get in, and then we run it back, and then we've got unfinished business, and then we try and get those next 2 games. And I believe this team will step up. On it with Thompson in charge, with the coaches. I just think that, yeah, it's a massive blow. It's a setback. We're gutted, absolutely gutted. But I think Derek Hall, pressure on the man. He's been compared to Rhys Hoskins. We need what Rhys has done. But last year he stepped up when Rhys was when Bryce was out. He did a good job. Again, he played a big part in covering for Bryce, like many others. And I think, again, we're going to see contributors from up and down this lineup. I'm down. I'm gutted. I'm devastated about Rhys, but it still doesn't, for me, change anything. This team is still capable of getting to the postseason.
And a lot of teams in the division are also still dealing with some issues themselves. I mean, obviously, the Edwin Diaz injury is insane for the Mets. That is, you want to talk about an irreplaceable asset. I mean, yeah. Diaz is a huge blow. But on top of that, the Braves are also, Raisel Iglesias is injured.
Yep.
Obviously the rest of their team is relatively healthy, but they're playing without a shortstop, really. Ozzy Albies is still coming back from a lot of, tough injuries. Ronald Acuna, obviously, still, dealing with, he had that ACL injury 2 years ago.
The Braves won the World Series without Acuna.
Correct.
The Eagles won the World Series without Carson Wentz. Big injuries at the time. We can still do it. We can rally round. Players will step up. I am, guys, keep the faith. I still
and on top of that, listen, again, like, the Phillies obviously have some time to decide what they want to do long term, but there's every chance that, now a real impact from the trade deadline can come in.
Yep.
Obviously, you'd prefer to have Rhys Hoskins, but I'm sure nobody would, complain about them going out and acquiring somebody like CJ Cron, Christian Walker. Maybe some huge surprise target becomes available, with a team kind of struggling, that they didn't expect to struggle.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, who's to say? First base is you can take a lot of guys and plop them there. So it's going to be really interesting. But ultimately,
you can take a lot of guys, but not Kyle Schwarber. Please do not entertain that experiment. JT can cover for a bit as well, but not Kyle Schwarber.
I don't think it's the worst idea, but that's a conversation for another day.
All right.
I think all you can do is just hope that, and out there listening, but Rhys and Jamie, obviously everybody is rooting for you here.
Absolutely.
I just really, really, really hope that we have not seen the last of Rhys in the Phillies uniform.
Absolutely. And you know what? Home opener, when he gets his ring on the Sunday night, I hope he's there, and I'm going to give him everyone's going to give him the biggest cheer out there, because we love you, Rhys. Keep your head up. Not that he's going to be watching, but keep your head up, Rhys. We love you, and we will praying for a healthy return and hopefully some more ABs for the Phils. Guys, that's it. Keep the faith, guys. We're close to opening day. Aaron Nola will be our opener again on opening day against Jacob deGrom. Oh, what a matchup!
Classic.
We will preview that on the preview pod just before opening day. But guys, if you like what you've seen, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. From me, Dave Short, it is ring the bell, and from Alex,
ring the bell, Dave.
See you soon, folks. Thank you.